At the Oscars, your movie, The Insult, was nominated for Best Foreign Film, but 2 months prior to getting the nomination, you were arrested and jailed. We often hear about the highs and the lows of filmmaking, but this is at the extreme end. Tell me a little bit about what happened there.
In 2012, I did a film called The Attack, and it's a film that I shot in Israel because the story takes place in Israel. Your audience should know that Lebanon and Israel have been at war, technically at war, since 1948. That means there are laws in both countries until now that forbids their citizenship to fly and work or meet or confer or collaborate with the other side. Meaning, if today, as any Lebanese citizen, I do an art project or political meeting or teach a class or speak on the radio with an Israeli, the law says it's 5 years jail and forced labor. It's very, very serious. Nobody had ever crossed that border. When I start thinking about the film, I spoke to my mom, who's a lawyer. She said, you should not be going to Israel because it's illegal. You will get arrested. So I try to find legal ways to overpass that law and go do it, because I'm not going to go shoot it in Egypt if it takes place there. I need to work with Israeli actors if it has to be any authenticity. Finally, I took the risk. And since I have a U.S. passport, I took the plane and I went to Israel and I shot it there. And when I came back, I didn't hide it. I didn't think ethically you should hide it. I could change names and say I haven't been to Israel, but I said, no, this is bullshit. You don't do it. When when you do something, you got to be proud of it and say what it is. It got me into a lot of problems. It got me into legal problems. But bizarrely, the authorities didn't arrest me when they knew that I was in Israel, because it's 5-year jail, like I said. I think they didn't want to mess with it because they had other things to worry about, and they did not want to arrest the filmmakers because he went and shot in Israel. But then they boycotted the movie. So The Attack was not released in any country in the Middle East. 22 Arab countries boycotted the movie. Okay, fine. Now, what I did in 2018, I went back to Beirut to do The Insult. The subject of The Insult was a bit critical because I was pointing the fingers and saying in the film that Palestinians have committed massacres, which is 1976 Damour massacres, which nobody talks about it. The reason nobody talks about it is because it's a taboo. People are used to hear that the Jews had committed massacres, but nobody had heard or wanted to hear that the Palestinians had committed massacres, which was the case. And this film was based on that story about a guy who grew up in that village and who escaped when the massacre occurred. That irked the authority. Like, not only you went to Israel in 2012, but now you're coming and you're pointing the fingers at the Palestinians. So it created such an incredible dilemma that the left-wing parties, bizarrely, mainly the boycott and divestment section, the BDS, they mounted an incredible campaign telling the Lebanese authority, you got to arrest that guy. And when I came back from the Venice Film Festival, where we won Best Actors for The Insult, I was arrested at the airport and I was taken to a military tribunal. Had the Prime Minister, Saad Hariri, at that time, received the call from my producer. He was in a meeting with Vladimir Putin at 11 p.m. And my producer told the Prime Minister of Lebanon, he says, Ziad Doueiri has been arrested. Hariri phoned back immediately to the judge, the military tribunal judge, and he said, you release that guy right away. I was released, but I was interrogated, and then I was acquitted. All right. They say, okay, Ziad went to Israel, but time had passed. And we cannot judge something that went for long. It has a technical word in English. I forgot what it is. When time goes and you don't ask for a judgment, it goes away. And since then, I have not gone back to Lebanon because I don't want to be arrested again.